Alright, hello everyone, Happy New Year. So, it's been a few days after Christmas and I received this package. It wasn't random, I was expecting it, but inside of this big brown box was a stand, a screen, and something with Dell written on the side of it. It's a Dell Optiplex 380 that I won on eBay for only £23, including postage. Now, this didn't come with a GPU. I had to put my old HD 6670 in there until the one I ordered from on eBay arrived. So it looked a bit silly with this big old card sticking out of it. I would have put my old GTX 660 Ti in there, but the power supply on this Dell is lacking any PCIe power cables, so any cards I can put in it would have to be running off the power delivered by the PCIe slot on the motherboard. And I don't really feel like setting up one of them crazy external power supply setups, and so I'm not going to mess about with that if I'm honest. Maybe another time. So at this point in time, this PC is running an Intel Core 2 Duo E7500 clocked at 2.93 GHz with 4GB of DDR3 SODIMM memory clocked at 1333 MHz. And my Radeon HD 6670 of course, but that didn't come with the machine. So heading forward a week or two, the processor I ordered for £8 arrived, which is the Intel Core 2 Quad Q9300 clocked at 2.5 GHz. This CPU is leaps and bounds faster than the old Core 2 Duo that was in there before, so if anyone finds themselves with one of these machines, I would highly recommend swapping it out for one of these. They will only set you back about £8 on eBay. So I installed the CPU, locked it in place, applied the paste, and then put the massive cooler back on top and screwed it in. And another week later, the low profile Radeon HD 7470 arrived, so I installed that too. And now this unit of a retro game station is ready to rock. So with this now this Dell Optiplex 380 is rocking at Intel Core 2 Quad Q9300 with 4 cores clocked at 2.5 GHz and no boost clock, with a Dell Radeon HD 7470 low profile GPU clocked at 750 MHz, which can be overclocked. This card also only has 1GB of VRAM, and it's lacking a HDMI port, so I can't use my capture cord for the benchmark, sorry. So you'll just have to put up with my phone camera being pointed at the screen. And this all come bundled up with the same 4GB of DDR3 SODIMM RAM clocked at 1333 MHz. I would highly suggest upgrading to 8GB for better performance though. There's also a 120GB SSD hooked up to the PC with Windows 10 installed on it, and believe me, it was a pain in the ass to get installed. If anyone has the same problem of not being able to load the Windows 10 installer on the system, I'll make a tutorial on how I fixed it for myself. So, booting up the computer is really snappy and fast now with that lovely SSD inside. Also, I've connected the PC to the monitor it arrived with, which turned out to be a nice 75Hz display, which was a great surprise to be fair. This monitor is running on a resolution of 1280 by 1024, which complements the strength of the graphics card better than a full HD 1080p monitor would. But still, I would recommend maybe even some games being lowered to 720p. But onto some internet browsing now. I'm going to go onto the MSI Afterburner website now, because it seems to make some computers chug a little from everything that's going on the page. This PC does, however, seem to be doing fine, though with a little bit of stuttering on the cursor. I'm not surprised though with all the fancy features here. Next on to some YouTube playback. Here's a 4K video I sometimes like to test PCs with. So I'll set it to 720p, stats for nerds, and as you can see it's doing just fine, maybe a few drop frames on the initial load but nothing major. Up to 1080p now, There are a few more drop frames scattered about the video, but if you don't mind that occasional stutter, this can definitely handle 1080p video. Unfortunately though, as you go higher, this machine struggles and cannot cope too well, so I would leave it at 1080p for a nice viewable experience. And now onto some games. So I thought I'd try some Flash games. Oh yeah, Flash is dead. Onto some real games. So first up we have Half-Life 2, running at 1280 by 1024 with these settings. You're gonna get a solid plus 60 FPS experience on this machine. I mean, me personally, when I first completed this game, I was playing at minimum lowest settings with the lowest resolution at still about 25-30 FPS. So if you want to play through this game and other old games like this, then this is a pretty damn good bang for your buck, performance wise. Next up is Doom 3 BFG Edition, running at 1280 by 1024 with these settings. After the ridiculously long intro sequence, we're putting back a nice, once again, plus 60 FPS experience. So Doom 3 and games similar to this that came out around the same time will run perfectly on this machine. Next up, a more recent but definitely easier to run game, Minecraft, with all of the graphics settings to low and only 12 render chunks. I generated a world which took a long time, and after a stuttery few seconds from the world generating, we got a lovely playable plus 60 once again. So if you want to play Minecraft, this is perfect for you, except you have to use the low settings so it won't look so good. But if you have children who want to play Minecraft, here's a cheap solution for your problems, I guess. Next up we have GTA San Andreas, running at the same resolution with all of these settings. We're pulling back around 50 to 60 FPS, I guess. That's what it looks like to me. So my MSI Afterburner didn't want to display the graph on this one, but I could tell it was still as smooth as butter. Now I'm going to test Far Cry 2. Using the in-game benchmark, this game was a little harder to run than the other games, so a resolution of 800 by 600 and a mix of high and low settings were raking in the frames at almost 100 FPS at one point, but with lows of 44 FPS when lots of details were going on around. Still, I reckon it would be a more than playable experience on here. Lastly, some emulation. First up, some GBA games using RetroArch. So games like Pokemon and other GBA games can run on a toaster, so anything up to the power of GBA will be just fine. PlayStation, however, does struggle a bit. This is due to the GPU not having power, I think, and it doesn't seem to have the strength to emulate PS1 games, so anything higher than this will not run. So again, anything like Dolphin and Redream are a no-go on the system, unfortunately. Photoshop and light editing can be done, however. There is a bit of lag behind your inputs, so precision art is probably a no-go. In conclusion, this is a great little machine for its age and could definitely be used as a retro game machine to play all of your old favourite games at a low resolution, just like the old days. And seeing as I've picked one of these up for only £23, with the graphics card, SSD and processor, it came to about 50 quid, maybe less so, maybe less than. So I can't really complain with the results. So if you've got your eyes open for an old retro system to go back to and enjoy the classic PC games of your youth, then look no further and head over to eBay and find an old Dell Optiplex of your own. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you've all enjoyed. See ya. Sweet.